Good day, students. Today we're going to move over to the next section in the topic finance. Like we had done before, we understand the basic concept of interest. Basically, interest is the price that someone pays for using someone else's money. As we had said in the past, you can either borrow a sum of money or invest a sum of money and thereby either paying interest or gaining interest. For today, we are going to be moving over to compound interest. Now, compound interest is very different from simple interest. When we use compound interest, it is basically interest on interest. So for example, if you invest 100 Rand into an investment and you earn 10% per annum, which means at the end of the first year, you would have your 100 Rand plus 10% of the 100, which is an additional 10 Rand, which means you have now 110 Rand. For the next year, interest is calculated on the 110 Rand, thereby meaning you are earning interest upon interest. For now, we are going to go over the simple formula. And the formula that we are going to be using is A is equal to P into 1 plus I raised to the power n, where A is the accumulated amount. P is the principal amount, initial or original. The I is the interest rate as a decimal, and please take note that I is equal to R divided by 100, and this is what we are always going to do in this section. N is the number of payment periods, and in level 2 we are dealing only with the number of years. If I have to go ahead and use the formula where I'm saying I is equal to R over 100, the original formula can change, and in place of I can write down R divided by 100. It is the same formula. Let us now go and look at a few examples. Hilda borrowed 9,000 Rand from the bank at 5% compound interest per annum for a period of 3 years. In this example, you will distinctly see the words compound interest, which means you have to use the compound interest formula. In your formula sheet, please take note of which is the simple interest formula and which is the compound interest formula. How much must she repay to the bank at the end of 3 years? It's a simple problem. Let's look at what we know. We know that P is equal to 9,000 Rand because she borrowed the initial amount of 9,000 Rand. R is 5%. And remember, this is compound interest, but for now we do not use R, we use the value for I. And I is equal to 5 divided by 100, which is equal to 0,05. I also know that the payment term is 3 years, so N is equal to 3 years. I did put in the formula I am about to use. A is equal to P into 1 plus IN, and now it becomes simple substitution of what I know, remembering that I have to calculate the value for A. I know the value for P is 9,000 Rand. 1 plus the value for I know I is 0,05, and it's raised to the exponent n. Please, it's not multiplied by n because this is the compound interest formula. And hence, A gives me a value of 10,418 Rand and 63 cents. And this is the amount that she would have to repay at the end of 3 years. What was the interest that she had to pay? It will be 10,418.63 minus the 9,000. Example number 2. An amount of 1,200 Rand accumulates to 2,600 Rand after 3 years. Find the interest rate if the investment earned compound interest compounded annually. Annually means yearly. Now, this is slightly different because I know the principal amount is 1,200, the initial amount. This amount accumulates to 2,600 over the period of 3 years. I need to find the interest rate, and whenever I find the interest rate, I'm finding the value for R as a percentage. But I know I need to calculate the value for I first. So I use the compound interest formula, and to make it easier, I plug in the values that I know. I know the value for A, I know the value for P, and that's it. I now need to calculate the value for I. I also know the value for N, which is 3 years. The first step, remember the 1,200 from here can move over to the other side and become division. So 2,600 divided by 1,200 is equal to 1 plus I, all raised to the exponent 3. The next step, guys, I always like to do this. I like to write down the variable that I'm looking for on the left-hand side. So 1 plus I cubed is equal to 2,600 over 1,200. If I'm getting rid of this cube from your section on manipulation, I know I need to cube root both sides. If I cube root the left-hand side, that power falls away. So basically, 1 plus I is equal to the cube root of 2,600 over 1,200. And simple calculator work gives you the value of 1,2939. Remember, I am still solving for the value for I, which means the 1 can hop over and become minus 1. So I is equal to 12939 minus 1, and the value for I is 0,2939. But remember, I'm not calculating the value for I in the decimal. I want to know the value for R as a percentage, and I know that R is equal to 0,2939, multiply that by 100, and I end up with a percentage of 29,39%. This is a very famous example in the examinations as well. Let's go over the example. In the next example, Themba won 5,400 Rand in a talent show. He was given 2 options to invest this money. Option A, basically investing the 5,400 for a period of 3 years at 6,4% compound interest compounded annually. I see I have an option A which speaks about compound interest. Or I have an option B, investing for the same period of 3 years, but now at 7% simple interest. The question is, which option should he choose? Give a reason for your answer and show all calculations. Very important, guys, to show all calculations. Because I have 2 options, let's start off with option A. Option A is compound interest. I know that this 5,400 is always my p-value, and then I'll work with option A. In option A, we are working with 6,4% divided by 100 gives me 0,064. If I go further, I need to calculate the accumulated value. Simple substitution, because I know the value for P is 5,400. I know the value for I is 0,064. And I know the value for N, which is equal to 3. Simple calculator work renders me an answer of 6,504 Rand and 57 cents. Now remember, that is option A. Themba also needs to consider option B. Option B speaks about simple interest. Simple interest at 7%, I need to calculate the value for I, which divided by 100 is 0,07. I need to calculate the value for A, but now remember, I need to use the simple interest formula. And if I use the simple interest formula, I know the value for P is 5,400. I know the value for I is 0,07 and it's the same time period, which is 3 years. Again, simple calculator work gives me an answer of 6534. And now the question comes up. Which option do you think would be better? Now, obviously, you would have to look at the values. If he goes with option A, he earns 6,504 Rand. But if he goes with option B, he earns 6,534 Rand, which is a small amount greater than option A, which means that Themba should choose option B, because this would give him a bigger amount in the end. Let's go over to the last example. Remember, guys, I'm still trying to keep these videos under 15 minutes. Question number 4. The price of a new car or bakkie is dependent on the rate of inflation and increases at that rate. In 2013, your father replaced his 1999 bakkie, which he bought brand new, with another one and paid 289,000 Rand. The average rate of inflation is 6,1% per annum. Use this rate to determine how much the bakkie would have been in 1999. Not the exact same bakkie, but a similar bakkie. How much would it have been? Now, maybe not the best wording of an example, but we can still fathom how to go about doing it. I need to understand, firstly, I've got 2 years, in 2013 and then in 1999, which means there's a difference in years between 1999 and 2013. So the first thing that I need to understand is that the time period, or whatever I'm dealing with, the payment period is 14 years. The average rate of inflation is 6,1%, which means R is 6,1%. I need to convert to I, which is 0,061. Now, what do I need to calculate? It says use this rate to determine how much the bakkie would have been in 1999, in the past. Meaning that in 2013, it's 289,000 Rand. In the past, I need to know which one is the value for A and which one is the value for P. And when I do this, I can understand that I'm given the value for A. I need to calculate the value for P. Remember, A is the accumulated amount as I know it, which means it's the final amount. In this case, the amount for the 2013 bakkie was 289,000. I need to know how much did the bakkie cost in the past, meaning what is the original amount. Like I said, the wording is not 100% understandable, but you get to grips with what I am talking about. What I need to do here now is to calculate the value for P. I know the value for A is 289. I know the value for I is 0,061. And I know the value for N is 14 years. I simply calculate the value for P, which means that in 1999, the bakkie would have costed 126,148 Rand and 61 cents. Now, guys, what you need to be able to understand in this section is how to work out simple examples of compound interest, enabling you to calculate the value for A, to calculate the value for P, and to calculate, as we had done before, the value for I. At level 2, it will never be asked to calculate the value for N because you do not do logarithms. Also, know that you must expect examples where there's a comparison between different types of investments. It could be a comparison between simple and compound, compound and compound with different interest rates, with varying time periods, whatever the case may be. You show all calculations and you must answer the question. Like the previous one asked which investment is the better one. You answer, and if you need to substantiate, you substantiate. Thank you very much, guys. I hope you enjoyed that.